The Tigers tonight will try to get back in the win column as they take on the Chicago White Sox, the South Side opponent in the American League Central. The Indians try to improve and try to continue the winning streak as they now head to the East to take on the Baltimore Orioles. The Mud Hens, after having a strong lead last night, blow it in Durham. Rashawn Holmes, gonna be a 76er. We'll break down the NBA draft. And there's something else tonight besides the U.S. women's soccer team playing China at 7. Oh, yeah, that's right. We had a show earlier today. The NHL draft is tonight. I'll give you a little taste of what was on our program this afternoon. All this and more as you're watching All Andy Alfred right here, a production of ClayFan 2, 3, and on Google Plus. Hang out because we're live!
I've been listening to you, watching the same games you've been watching, but I have the nerve to say what's on my mind. It's time to listen. It's time to learn. It's time for All Andy Alfred. Starting now.
Oh, yeah. With it being hockey, it's the start of the season. Oh, Hockey Night in Canada, which only means one thing. The 2015-2016 NHL season is upon us tonight at the BBT Center in Florida. It is the 2015 NHL Draft, where Connor McDavid will be drafted number 1 overall by the Edmonton Oilers. I love you guys, and welcome to All Andy Alfred right here on your internet home for me, a production of ClayFan 2, 3. I am your host, Andy Alfred, welcoming you into the Man Cave Studios and welcoming you into another edition of All Andy Alfred right here on the program. Got a lot to get into today, of course. Talking a little bit about the NHL draft tonight going forward in the BBT Center in Florida. We'll give you a taste of the show that was today on the program. We also will talk about the Women's World Cup tonight. That will be the United States versus China. 7 o'clock first kick on Fox. We'll talk a little bit about that. Also, we'll talk a little bit about how pathetic the Mud Hens were last night in Durham and the NBA draft as well, too. But first and foremost, before we begin, you can be a part of the show today as you can tweet us on Twitter. Find us on Twitter. It is at All Andy Alfred. It is at All Andy Alfred. And you can use the hashtag AAA Live. That's hashtag AAA Live. And it is truly a pleasure to be with you on the program, whether you're watching us now or later on in the afternoon. Of course, taping the show around 5:30 this afternoon. It is good to be on the program with you today. So let's get into what has happened in the world of baseball first before we get into the hard court and the ice. Let's talk a little bit about some breaking news that just came down upon us from the Philadelphia Phillies. The Phillies former manager, and Hall of Famer Ryan Sandberg has resigned as the Phillies manager. Pete McClargan, the third base coach, has been named interim manager. The Phillies under Sandberg, who debuted as a major league manager, in August of 2013, is 119 and 159. This season he's 26 and 46 this season, and in last place, 14 and a half games out of an American League East race. He says in quote today during the press conference, "It's a difficult day, a challenging day, and a tough day for myself." Sandberg addressed the news media at Citizens Bank. "It was not an easy decision in a lot of ways. I'm old school, and I'm very, very dissatisfied for the record, and I'm not pleased at that at all." Culling has 106 game experience as a major league manager, both as an intern skipper and the first for the 2005 Pirates and then the 2007 Reds. His career as a manager, he is 53-53. So Ryan Sandberg is gone as the manager for the Philadelphia Phillies. And I got a chance to see him manage the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs, and he is right. He is old school. He's more traditional, more of the traditional route, and we'll see what happens with him. Best of luck to him in his future endeavors. All right, so let's talk about what happened yesterday on the Diamond. Besides the Tigers game yesterday, we broke that down for you yesterday. A lot of the day games that happened yesterday as well too. San Francisco was a winner, 13-8 over the Padres. Washington was a 7-0 win over the Atlanta Braves. In 13, the Reds were a winner, 5-4 over the Pittsburgh Pirates. St. Louis a 5-1 win over the Miami Marlins, and the Yankees losing 4-0 to the Houston Astros. Now this weekend, here's the weekend series. We'll preview both the Indians and the Tigers separately, but here's the rest of the world in baseball and the MLB. Atlanta is in Pittsburgh tonight. That's Perez versus Liriano, 7:05 start time for that one. Washington's in Philadelphia. That's Scherzer versus Harang. Scherzer coming off of the almost perfect game. Texas is in Toronto. That's Martinez versus Burley. Boston in Tampa. That's Porcello versus Colombo at 7:10. Cincinnati is in the New York Metropolitans. It'll be Singard for the Mets. Cueto on the hill for the Redlegs. At 7:10 in Miami, it'll be Anderson versus Nikito. That's Miami versus the Dodgers. 8:10 tonight will be the Minnesota Twins taking on the Milwaukee Brewers. It's May versus Los. 8:10, it's the Yankees taking on the Houston Astros. Valquez versus Elmdaldy. 8:15, Arrieta versus Lackey as St. Louis takes on the Cubbies. Kansas City's on the road. They'll take on the Oakland Athletics. 10:05 start time for that. Possible first-round matchup for the Kansas City Royals if the standings hold out. 10:05 start time was Walker versus Shoemaker as the Angels take on the Seattle Mariners. San Francisco will be taking on Colorado at 10:15. It's Hudson versus Bellis. And 10:10 tonight will be Arizona versus the Padres. Ray versus Ross. Now let's talk about tonight's matchup for the Detroit Tigers. They have to get back on the winning page. And tonight, Anibal Sanchez has got to get back onto the winning page as well, too. Jose Quintana on the hill for the White Sox. He's 3-7 with a 3.92 ERA. Don't let the record fool you. He is a solid pitcher this year. Anibal Sanchez 6-7 with a 4.59 ERA. 7:08 start time on Fox Sports Detroit. 7:05 start time tonight. It will be the Indians taking on the Baltimore Orioles in Baltimore at Camden Yards. Corey Kluber on the hill. He's 3-9 with a 3.65 ERA. Wei-Hyun Chen on the hill for the Baltimore Orioles. He's 3-4 with a 2.89 ERA. 7:05 start time for that one. You can watch that game on Messin or on Fox Sports Time. Tomorrow's day games go as this. It will be Danks versus Ryan for Detroit. Looking at the rest of the series for Detroit, be Danks versus Ryan. Danks 3-8 with a 5.38 ERA. Ryan on the hill for Detroit. He's 1-1 with a 4.56 ERA. Cleveland will throw out Anderson on the hill. He has no record and no ERA. Tillman on the hill for Baltimore, who's 5-7 with a 6.22 ERA. 7:10 start time for that one on Fox Sports Time Ohio. The concluding game for the Tigers will be Samardzija versus Price. A great pitching matchup for your Sunday afternoon on this one. Samardzija 5-4, 4.53 ERA versus David Price, who is 7-2 with a 2.42 ERA. 1:08 start time for that one. And in Baltimore, it will be Trevor Bauer on the hill for the Cleveland Indians. He's 6-4 with a 3.86 ERA. Baltimore will throw on the former Cleveland Indian, one of the best aces that the Indians had at the time, who is 6-3 with a 3.40 ERA. 1:35 start time for that one on Fox Sports Time. looking at the standings going forward into tonight's play for Detroit and for Cleveland. Here is the updated standings. Kansas City still in first place with a record, if I can pull it up right here, live internet, you gotta love it. You gotta love it. Kansas City with a record right now going into tonight's game of 41-28 in first place in the American League Central. Minnesota's 39-33, 3.5 games out of first place, half a game up in the wild card race. Detroit is 37-36, 6 games out of first place in the wild. 6 games out of first place, 2 games out of a wild card position. Cleveland is 33-38, 9 games out of first place, 5 games out of a wild card position, and the White Sox are 32-40, 10.5 out, 6.5 games out of a wild card position. So the table is set for the weekend in the major leagues to see if the Tigers and the Indians can improve on their winning ways. As you're watching all Andy Alfred right here on ClayFan23, presented by CarryTheFifthLine.tumblr.com. After a long rain delay, one run, 2 runs, 2 runs, 1 run, 1 run, 7-0 lead for the Mud Hens going into the 6th. The Mud Hens gave up 7 unanswered runs to Durham in the 6th. And I thought all hope was done. Don't get me wrong, I was watching the game on CBS Sports Network. I thought the game was done. I thought it was over. The Mud Hens in the 8th score 1 and 2 in the 9th to win 10-7. They won 10-7 last night in Durham after a long rain delay. The game did not start until a little after 10 o'clock. They have to get it in, because this is the last time they're in Durham this year. And they could have played it in Toledo. A 2-hour and 52-minute rain delay. Game was 3 hours and 8 minutes long. The Mud Hens win 10-7. Dolis gets the win. He goes to 4-2 with a 7.16 ERA. Ruvenhauser gets the loss. He goes to 0-2 with a 3.27 ERA. Kroll, his first save of the season. For the Mud Hens, Tyler Collins, 2 home runs hit in the game, his first and second. Mike Hessman, his 10th of the year. Xavier Avery, his first. And for Durham, it was Ekbera, his 12th, and Lee, his second. In front of not even 9,027. They said that the crowd, after the second time the tarp was put back on, that most of the crowd left. Game did get underway around 9 o'clock. And Mike Bialfiore, 5 2/3, 3 hits, 3 runs. Those 3 runs were earned, 2 walks, 10 strikeouts in the game. And Durham is one of the best teams in the IL South. Unbelievable. Went away to win and take 2 of 3 out of Durham against one of the best teams in the IL South, and you take 2 of 3. Unbelievable. Diamond was on the hill. He had 5 innings pitched, 14 hits, 7 runs, 6 of them earned, 3 strikeouts, and all 3 homers in the game. So the Mud Hens getting a 10-7 win over the Durham Bulls. And looking at the rest of the scoreboard from yesterday in the minor leagues, a lot of rain was in the forecast in a lot of these games, but some of them did get underway, and some of them, the majority of them got underway. Lehigh Valley lost to Buffalo 7-2. Gwinnett loses to Indianapolis 4-3. Charlotte a 4-2 win over the Syracuse Chiefs. Louisville putting up 15 runs on the Scranton Wilkes-Barre Rail Riders as they beat the New York Yankee affiliate 15-2. Not a single home run. Oh, actually, no, 2 home runs in the game. Rodriguez, his 8th, and Judge his 1st. But 7 runs in the 3rd, 1 run in the 4th, 4 runs in the 5th, 3 runs in the 9th for Louisville in that game. 2 runs, only in the 8th inning for the Rail Riders. Rochester was a winner 6-5 over the Pawtucket Red Sox. Now looking at games tonight, excluding the Mud Hen game, which we'll preview here momentarily, Scranton, the Rail Riders are hosting the Buffalo Bison, 7:05 start time for that. Charlotte is on the road. They'll take on the Rochester Red Wings. Gwinnett is in Pawtucket tonight. That's a 7:05 start time for that. Lehigh Valley hosting the Louisville Bats. Durham is in Columbus after that long day and that long trip to Columbus, too. That is a brutal trip after the long game. 7:15 start time for that one. I don't know if they'll get that one underway in Columbus tonight because of the rain that's in Columbus tonight. 7:15 start time, Indianapolis versus Syracuse. That's McGregor versus Liz. For the Mud Hens tonight, they will be on the road. They'll take on the Norfolk Tides. Guzman starting for Norfolk. He has no record. It is his first start tonight against the Mud Hens and his first start with the Norfolk Tides. Melville on the hill for the Hens. He is 3-6 with a 5.49 ERA. Game time for that one, 7:05. You can listen to that game on 1230 WCWA and iHeart radio station. Looking at the rest of the rotation for the Mud Hens, it will be Green on the hill on Saturday. He's 0-1 with a 3.18 ERA. He'll take on Matt Wright, who's 4-0 with a 2.45 ERA. 7:05 start time for that one. And Sunday, to conclude the game, the Mud Hens have not yet named a starter. You can check the Mud Hens website, mudhens.com, on Saturday or Sunday to find out who the starter will be. It will be Corey Jones for the Tides, 4-4 with a 2.38 ERA. 1:05 start time for that one. And then the Mud Hens return home on Monday to take on the Durham Bulls. Florio 7-6 with a 4.53 ERA. Larry Parrish is not yet named the starter for that one. We will preview those games on Monday's edition of All Andy Alfred. And Monday's edition of the shows are going to be long because of the NHL draft. Of course, we'll have 2 shows on Monday, the breakdown of the NHL draft, as well as the regular version of All Andy Alfred. And looking at the standings last night, the Mud Hens are still 10 games out of first place with a record of 33-41. Louisville is 36-38, 7 games out of first place. Columbus is surging still. They're 39-35, 4 games out of first place. Indianapolis still in the lead in the IL West with a record of 43-31 in first place. In the IL South, Charlotte now takes the lead after the Mud Hens destroy both Norfolk and Durham in these last few games. Charlotte is now 42-31 in first place. Norfolk is now 41-32, a game out of first place. Durham is now 40-34, 2.5 games out of first place. So it'll be interesting to see what happens tonight for the Mud Hens and what happens this weekend for the Mud Hens as well. As you're watching All Andy Alfred right here, a production of ClayFan23, presented by CarryTheFifthLine.tumblr.com. So, I don't know if you've been noticing this, but today's a kind of a big day as at the BBT Center in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. It will be the 2015 NHL entry-level draft, and it is a doozy of one. One of the best classes I have seen in a long time, in a very long time. And if you haven't, we posted a link on this show to the show for the NHL 2015 draft edition of the program. We talked a little bit about the picks in the first round, and that's what we're going to talk about here really quick. We're just going to give you a quick sample. I know some of you can't be able to watch the whole episode, so we're going to give you a sample of what's going to happen tonight, 7 o'clock on NBCSN or on TSN. I know a lot of people are going to be going to draft parties tonight as well, too. I know the Blue Jackets tonight are having a draft party. It was planned to be in the Front Street Plaza, but it has been now moved to Nationwide because of all the rain that's happening in Columbus tonight. So enjoy Nationwide tonight, folks. If you're headed down there, be safe and be careful. But tonight, it will be Edmonton and Buffalo's turn to get their number 1 picks, and I think the next wave of the franchise for Edmonton. I hope they do not fail like they have done before Connor McDavid is the number 1 overall draft pick. He will be going to Edmonton first overall. He had 44 goals last year for the Erie Otters. He's a centerman. He's projected to go number one overall. Jack Eichel from Boston University is projected to go number 2. He had 26 goals last year. He's a centerman. He's projected to go to Buffalo. Then we get into the weird situation. Aaron Portzline this afternoon was reporting that the Jackets were in conversations with the Coyotes for the number 3 pick. Could it happen? Could we have a late-minute trade for the Jackets? Because if they don't, Arizona's probably going to pick Noah Hatfield, defenseman out of Boston College. He had 5 goals last year for the Boston College Eagles. And it could happen. And the pieces that they were going to give up is pretty interesting. It's a 3rd-round pick for the 8th-round pick in this draft. Artem Anisimov, the Artie Party, and Kirby Reichel. That's a great deal. You get 3 players for price of 1. If I was Arizona, I'd take it. Even though I love Artie, I'd like to see what happens and see what this defenseman can do for us. Toronto's going to pick number 4. They're going to stay with their number 4 pick, and they're going to pick Dylan Strome. 45 goals out of Erie. He's a centerman, strong centerman. He'll be a franchise center for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And then we get into the Jackets pick. Now, the Jackets are going to be interesting to pick for me. Ian Provo is going to go number 7 overall. He could go to Philly. But if Philly picks Zach Werenski from Michigan, then the Jackets will pick Ian Provo out of Brampton. He had 15 goals. He's a defenseman. The Jackets need to go after defensemen. They also need to go after left wingers. The wingman, basically. A versatile wing person could help the Jackets out. That's what it's really going to come down to. Detroit is picking 19th overall. I see them picking somebody pretty good in this Colin White out of the United States U-18 team. He's a centerman. 16 goals this season from the USHL player. One of the best USHL players I've seen in a while. And then Toronto picks 24th. I think they'll pick up Gabriel Clarkson from Winnipeg. He had no goals this season, but he's a solid defenseman for them. Montreal, Jensen Harkins from Prince George, 20 goals. And then here's one of the big ones. Philadelphia is going to probably pick a goaltender in Elias Salomonsson from Sweden. His goals against average is 2.66, one of the best. And he is going to be a starting goaltender right off the bat. Right off the bat. Got to give C. Mason a chance to run for his money. Because this kid can do it. This kid can do it. It'll be interesting tonight. 7 o'clock, NBCSN. We got some NHL news to get to right now, though. We have breaking news. It has been official. The Kings have acquired Milan Lucic. He is on the move. The Bruins have picked up the number 13 overall pick. And they're probably going to pick goalie Martin Jones. Prospect. Dougie Hamilton was also acquired from the Boston Bruins for the 2015 first-round pick and 2 second-round picks. And like I mentioned before, the Jackets still in conversation right now with to see if they can move up into the draft and get the number 3 position. It'll be interesting to see how they do. We see how they will conquer and move on, try to get that first position. By the way, hello Mexico. Forgot to mention that at the beginning of the program. For Luis in Mexico, who watches the program. Thank you for tuning in today. You're watching All Andy Alfred right here on your exclusive home for me, ClayFan23, presented by CarryTheFifthLine.tumblr.com. As you're, we just went over a little bit of the NHL entry-level draft. Tonight, also at 7 o'clock, it will be Team USA and Abby Wambach, no Christina Rampone, and the Team USA taking on Team China. 7 o'clock, first kick. And be interesting. Be interesting to see if the United States can pull it off. Can Hope Solo help her team out? We'll see. We'll see tonight. Right now, Germany and France are tied at 0 in their game as we're doing the show live as we speak. Also wanted to get into this too. Adam Keichelman, going back a little bit for the NHL draft really quick because that's what I like to talk about. The NHL is one of my lives. Keichelman on the NHL has Provo going to the Jackets, but like I said, it all depends on Philadelphia. It really does. It all depends on Philadelphia and what move they make before the Jackets move. Because if the Jackets make and get if Philadelphia goes after the defenseman, that'll be interesting. But I just see defense is what the Jackets need, and they'll go after on the first time around. Actually, we got a live score update as we speak right now. Germany and France at the 94th minute are tied at first. 7:30 has now been the call time for the United States-China game. They have pushed that game back just in case of penalty kicks this evening. Tomorrow on the docket in the Women's World Cup, it will be Team Canada in action as they will play tomorrow against England, 7:30 first kick. Australia takes on Japan at 4 o'clock. And then Tuesday sets up to be as this semifinal game number 1 between either the winner of Germany and France, and we'll play the winner of China versus the United States in game. And then the other game will be the winner of Canada versus England versus the winner of Australia, Japan. And then July 4th, it will be the consolation game, of course. And then July 5th will be the championship game between the 1 or number 2 overall picks. So let's talk a little bit about last night in the NBA draft. And last night, if you weren't aware, there was an NBA draft. Of course, if you're watching All Andy Alfred right here live on the exclusive home for me, PlayFan23. If you want to chime in on the show, tweet the show. It is at All Andy Alfred. And let's talk about the draft. Karl Anthony Towns going number 1. Saw it coming. D'Angelo Russell going number 2 overall. I had him going number 3. Jameer Okafor, I had him going number 2. He goes number 3. Kristaps Porzingis from Serbia goes number 4 to the Knicks. Looking at some other top 5, Mario Hezonja from Barcelona goes number 5. And then that's the top 5. Stanley Johnson goes 8th overall to the Detroit Pistons out of Arizona. The Heat picks up Justine Winslow, shooting guard from Duke. He goes 10th overall, 6'7", 230 from Duke. Let's see. One of the big moves of the night, I have to say, was from the Cavs. The Cavs picked up at the 24th pick overall. They pick up Titus Jones, but have traded that pick to the Minnesota Timberwolves. But that's pending the NBA picking it up. Larry Nance Jr. getting picked up by Wyoming, 27th overall by the LA Lakers. RJ Hunter being picked up by the Celtics, 28th overall. And then we get into what I think was the big pick. One of the big pickups of the night. And that was the number, I believe it was the number, Darian Hillard, number 38th pick overall from Villanova from the Pistons to the Pistons. Then we get into the 41st and I believe it's, let's see, the 40, I can find it here. I'm pulling it up here. But Rashawn Holmes got drafted last night from our Bowling Green State University Falcons. He got drafted overall by the 76ers. I can find it right here. Let's see. Just open it. Let's see. We can pull up. Gotta love live internet for you, folks. Here it is. He was the 37th pick overall. He's a power forward, 6'10", 245 out of Bowling Green State University. He was picked after was Darian Hillard. The Pistons could have picked him up. The Cavs could have picked him up. But Rashawn Holmes now in the NBA. Congratulations to this young man. He totally deserves the opportunity to play with the big boys and play in the NBA. So congratulations to him, and congratulations to all the draft picks in this year's NBA draft. You're watching All Andy Alfred right here on your exclusive home for me, ClayFan23, a production presented by the carrythefifthline.tumblr.com. As you're watching All Andy Alfred, you can tweet the show. It is at All Andy Alfred. It is at All Andy Alfred. Watching the program here. And I want to get into this as well too. I'm keeping tabs on this. Let's look. This building looks so beautiful tonight. Pull the camera towards it. There we are. That's the BBT Center tonight. All the tables are set up, and the USHL is in full customary measures there. The CBJ Artillery podcast are at the draft tonight as well too. So if you're headed down to Nationwide, get down to Nationwide as soon as you can. The doors are opened at 5 o'clock. They will be open until we're done with the first round of the draft, or when they asking everybody to leave. Of course, it's a party. Inside Nationwide Arena. So enjoy the draft tonight if you're going to watch it. You know I will. We'll have the NHL draft breakdown on Monday's edition of All Andy Alfred. It'll be a special edition of the program. Also, if you haven't watched the NHL draft edition of the program and seen my predictions of the top 30 picks for this year's NHL draft, tune on over to the page. It's underneath this title as well too. If you have a comment or a question for this show, tweet the show. It is at All Andy Alfred, or put a comment underneath this page if you're watching this show later on in the afternoon as well too. That's going to wrap it up for All Andy Alfred this week. I hope you enjoyed these programs as much as I did. No matter where you are, what you're doing, and how you're watching us, thank you so very much for tuning into today's program. And as always, go Tigers! Beat the White Sox! Go Tribe! Beat the Orioles. I don't want to play that theme song next week and on Monday. Let's go Hens! And like the shirt says behind me, we are the fifth line. Hashtag CBJ. CBJ. And go USA! Besides Hope Solo. It's going to wrap it up for All Andy Alfred. I hope you have enjoyed this weekend. Make it a good one. It's going to rain a lot here in the northwest Ohio, southeast Michigan area. Estimating about 1 to 4 inches of rain, so get the boats ready. Call Noah. That's going to wrap it up. I'm Andy Alfred. I hope you have a terrific day. And as always, I'm pulling for you. We're all in this together. Game of life. And to the teams behind me. And to your team that you root for at home as well. Victory is sweetest when you have tasted defeat. Have a good evening, everybody. I will see you on Monday for a new week and a new edition of All Andy Alfred. Hey guys, take it away with some Hockey Night in Canada on this, the NHL Draft Night. See you guys next week.